The mirror lies, not about your reflection, but about the verdict it pretends to deliver. You stand there scanning for flaws like a detective at a crime scene, and somewhere deep in the wiring, a voice whispers, "Not enough." The house could be cleaner, the email could be sharper, the body could be tighter, the career could shine brighter, and beneath all that noise, a single belief runs like underground water poisoning the well. If I could just get it right, then I would be safe. Then I would be loved. Then I would finally rest. But perfection is not a destination. It is a trap dressed as a trophy. Today you will hear what they never warned you about, the hidden cost of flawlessness, the violence of the inner critic, the exhaustion of chasing an image that moves faster than you can run. You will discover how Buddhist wisdom dismantles the myth of perfection without asking you to settle for mediocrity. And somewhere in the next minutes, you may recognize yourself in a story about sand, mandalas, broken bowls, and the quiet rebellion of those who learn to be human instead of immaculate. This happens now, in the present. A mind opens its fist. A breath interrupts the hunt. And something ancient remembers that you were never supposed to be perfect. You were supposed to be awake. The enemy is not your imperfection. The enemy is the war you wage against it. In the heart of Kyoto, monks spend days building intricate sand mandalas. Grain by grain, they construct geometric miracles, patterns so precise they look like frozen music. Tourists gather, cameras click, the image appears flawless, and then, without ceremony, they destroy it. A brush sweeps across the surface, the sand scatters, the perfection dissolves into formless color. Visitors gasp, some feel betrayed, as if beauty has been murdered, but the monks smile. They understand what the modern mind has forgotten. Perfection was never the point. Presence was. The mandala teaches three truths that shatter the yane's perfectionist cage. First, beauty does not require permanence. Second, value does not demand flawlessness. Third, the act of creating matters more than the frozen image. When you chase perfection, you are chasing a photograph of life, not life itself. You are building mandalas and then guarding them with swords, refusing to let the wind do what wind does. That refusal is exhaustion disguised as ambition. Buddhism names the poison clearly. It calls it attachment to views, clinging to how things should be, rather than meeting how things are. The perfectionist does not live in reality. They live in an edited version, a script where every line must land perfectly, every scene must glow, every character must perform without stumbling. But reality does not follow scripts. It improvises, it bleeds, it laughs at the wrong moments, and when you demand perfection from a world built on change, you are demanding the river to freeze mid-flow. The trap has a structure. It begins with a belief. Installed early, often without words, love is conditional. Approval must be earned. Safety lives on the other side of flawless performance. That belief becomes the invisible dictator. It writes your to-do lists, it grades your conversations, it measures your worth with a ruler made of comparison. You look at someone else's curated highlight reel and feel the sting. They have it together. You do not. The gap widens. The inner critic sharpens its pencil. Here is what they never tell you. The critic is not your enemy. It is a frightened child holding a broken compass, trying to keep you safe by keeping you small. It believes that if you are perfect, no one can reject you. If you never fail, you will never feel shame. If you control every detail, chaos cannot touch you. The logic is ancient and merciful in its intention, but it is also wrong. Because perfection does not protect you. It isolates you. It builds walls so high that even love cannot climb them. Imagine a potter working clay. The vessel takes shape under careful hands, but the wheel spins unevenly. A ridge appears. The rim wobbles, the potter pauses. In one world, they smash the clay and start over, cursing the flaw. In another world, they adjust. They let the wobble speak. They turn the imperfection into character. The bowl that emerges is not symmetrical, but it holds water. It sits in the hand with honesty. It does not pretend to be machine-made. That bowl is kintsugi before the breaking, accepting its own texture as part of its truth. Kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold, is the antithesis of perfection. When a bowl shatters, instead of hiding the cracks or discarding the piece, artisans fill the fractures with lacquer mixed with powdered gold. The breaks become veins of light. The bowl is not restored to its original state. It is transformed into something more honest, more beautiful, more itself. The message is clear. Your cracks are not your shame. They are your story. And stories told with gold are the ones people remember. The perfectionist looks at kintsugi and feels uneasy. It celebrates what should be hidden. It honors what should be erased. But Buddhist wisdom knows better. It knows that the bowl was always going to break. Impermanence does not negotiate. The question is not whether you will crack. The question is what you will do with the pieces. Will you grind them into dust out of embarrassment, or will you gather them with tenderness and let the gold speak? In the monastery, they teach a practice called beginner's mind. It is the opposite of expertise. It is the willingness to not know, to stumble, to approach each moment as if it were the first time. The master calligrapher picks up the brush after 40 years and still trembles before the blank paper, not because they lack skill, but because they respect the mystery. Perfection kills mystery. It pretends there are no more questions, no more discoveries, no more room to grow. Beginners. Mind breathes. It says, I am learning, I am alive, I am allowed to be clumsy. The modern city is a cathedral of comparison. Everywhere you look, someone has polished their image to a shine that blinds. Social media is a museum of highlights. Work culture is a race with no finish line. Even rest has been turned into an aesthetic. You must relax perfectly, eat perfectly, parent perfectly, love perfectly. The weight of it is crushing, and beneath the surface, everyone is faking it. Everyone is editing out the tears, the doubts, the burnt dinners, the fights that did not resolve with cinematic music. The perfection you see is a mirage, but you are dying of thirst chasing it. Buddhism offers a different compass. It points toward the middle way, not the extreme, not sloppiness but not rigidity either, not carelessness but not cruelty toward yourself. The middle way asks, what is good enough to serve? What is honest enough to stand by? What is human enough to breathe? You do not need to be flawless to be valuable. You need to be present. You need to show up with your whole messy self and offer what you have, knowing it will never be everything, and that is precisely the point. There is a story of a Zen student who spent years perfecting a single tea ceremony, every gesture measured, every angle exact. One day, the master watched and said, "Beautiful, but where are you?" The student was confused. "I am here, performing perfectly." The master shook his head. "No, you are hiding behind perfection. I see the ceremony. I do not see you." The student wept. They had spent so long polishing the performance that they had erased themselves from it. That erasure is the silent cost of perfectionism. You become invisible to yourself. You become a machine executing tasks, meeting standards, ticking boxes. But the wild part of you, the part that laughs too loud or cries without reason or makes strange art at 3 a.m, that part starves. And when it starves, you feel empty, even when you succeed. Because success without self is just another form of loneliness. The path out begins with a simple rebellion, permission to be average, permission to be mediocre, permission to be a rough draft, not forever, but right now, today, this hour. You do not have to be the best. You do not have to impress anyone. You can write a paragraph that wobbles, send an email that is not poetry, have a conversation that does not land perfectly, wear the shirt with the stain, leave the house without checking the mirror 17 times, and in that permission, something loosens. The breath deepens, the shoulders drop. The world does not collapse. In fact, it softens. There is a practice for this. It is called metta, or loving kindness, and it begins with yourself. Sit quietly. Place one hand on your heart. Repeat these words not as a mantra, but as a medicine. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live with ease. And then the hardest part. May I accept myself as I am, not as I should be, not as I will be when I finally get it right, as I am. Imperfect, stumbling, learning, alive. That phrase, as I am, is the key that unlocks the cage, because the perfectionist is always living in the future. When I lose the weight, when I get the promotion, when I finish the project, when I become someone else. But life is only ever now. And now you are this. Flawed and precious, clumsy and capable, cracked and glowing, the gold is already in you. You do not need to earn it. You need to stop covering it with shame. In the monastery, they say that enlightenment is an accident, but practice makes you accident-prone. Perfection is the opposite. It is a fortress built to prevent accidents. It says, no surprises, no mistakes, no deviations from the plan. But accidents are where life happens. The wrong turn that leads to a new friendship, the failed recipe that teaches you patience, the project that collapses and forces you to ask better questions. Accidents are not the enemy of growth. They are the compost. One more image before the turn. Imagine a tightrope walker. They cross the wire with perfect balance, arms extended, breath controlled. The crowd holds its breath. But here is the secret. The walker is not trying to be perfect. They are trying to stay present. The moment they think about perfection, they fall. Because perfection is a thought. Presence is a practice. You cannot think your way across the wire. You can only feel your way, adjusting with each step, responding to the wind, trusting the rope. Your life is that rope, and you are not meant to cross it without wobbling. You are meant to cross it awake. Let this teaching travel. Share it with someone who is exhausted from trying to be flawless. And if you want to keep training together in the art of living awake and imperfect, subscribe. This channel is a dojo for the broken, the clumsy, the gloriously human. Because the truth they never warned you about is this: perfection is a lie. Presence is the practice, and the cracks, the ones you have been hiding, they are where the light gets in. Now take one breath. Let it be imperfect. Let it wobble. Let it be yours.